And lastly, we expected him to resign yesterday with an immediate effect. Instead, kiburi. The stubbornness president, but a totalitarian pharaoh right here. Relationship, that is a relationship involving trust between the leaders and the people. Kenyan youths came out to say no and misapplication of their delegated power by MPs. And what did they get in return? Kiburi. Ruto ordered the police to kill, to abduct, to detain, and to torture Kenyans in unknown places without access to their family and advocates. The agent Ruto ordered brutal, violent force on the real principal owners of power, the people of Kenya. Thugs killed Kenyans across the country. We have seen bodies of many Kenyans, young and old, riddled, maimed, and torn beyond repair by guns wielded by Ruto's police. People are writhing in pain and bleeding in our hospitals across the country. We have seen them lob tear gas and live bullets at health workers running to help both civilian citizens and the police wounded in this. As I sit here today, sources have confirmed that more than 50 Kenyans have been killed since yesterday for standing up to ask President Ruto's regime the yoke of oppression on their necks, and more than 200 people wounded in the process. We all know that healthcare is beyond the reach of many Kenyans. We know our primary education is run down and broken. Transition to secondary school is in deep confusion. University and college education is now beyond all youth and their parents combined. People can't afford food and basics. There is despair on our land. And yet, after the brutality visited upon Kenyans across the country yesterday and throughout the night, Ruto came out to disrupt the 9 o'clock news with his address to the nation. We did expect, what we did expect of him in his leader capacity were, number 1, to withdraw the Finance Bill 2024. Number 2, to dissolve his incompetent cabinet. Number 3, to form a national dialogue committee to consider the distress of Kenyans. Number 5, to extend an olive branch and lastly, we expected him to resign yesterday with an immediate effect. Instead, kiburi. The stubbornness president, but a totalitarian pharaoh right here in Kenya. Tongue-lashing, fire-breathing, and threatening the Kenyan principal sovereign people. We saw Ruto promise us more firepower and an order to deploy the military in civilian and political affairs. By extension, the gazettement of the deployment of our military officers yesterday was illegal and was not constitutional. It was not consistent with the supreme law of the land. And therefore, coming to Parliament today to pass it means that we did not in the first place consider the Parliament's job in doing such a great job. The law does not act retrospectively, and it is very wrong for you to deploy military and then come and pass it later on the floor of the House. We had nothing, completely nothing, reconciliatory from Ruto. Instead, he branded Kenyans' liberation seekers as thugs, dangerous criminals, and said their acts of asking their servant leaders to act in accordance with the social contract are treasonous. We want to warn Ruto that is completely out of order. We want to warn the bribe-taking MPs that they are out of order. We want to remind Ruto and his band of arrogant advisors that democracy remains a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is not a government of Ruto, by Ruto, and for Ruto. Generations have waged war and shed blood, both externally and internally, to defend democracy for many years. President JF Kennedy warned in 1962 that those who make peaceful revolutions impossible make violent revolutions inevitable. To the Gen Zs who sparked off these protests, I want to encourage you that our founding fathers waged war against a whole British Empire and won the struggle for independence. The subsequent generation waged war against a single-party dictatorship and won. Your parents and us, your older siblings, waged war for a new constitution and won it. It is now your turn to wage war against economic injustice. And I promise you, you will win this war and birth a new Kenya. As a young leader in this country, I pledge to work and walk alongside you as you wage this war against economic injustice. Young people are capable, when aroused, of bringing down the towers of oppression and raising the banners of freedom. We demand justice for those who are killed